Welcome to the GSMC Pets Podcast, the show that caters to pet lovers of all kinds. We'll talk about pets on social media, pets doing amazing things, and how to take care of the pets in your life. Whether your pet is a dog, a cat, a llama, hamster, reptile, or something more exotic, you'll find educational and entertaining information on the GSMC Pets Podcast.
Well, hello, and thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Pets Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Sam, and right in front of me, as usual, is the little man named Baby Cat, also known as Eisen. He has many names. But I have a challenge for you, and the first thing I want you to do is close your eyes and imagine your favorite food. What do you hear when it's cooking? What do you smell? And then, what is the taste that makes it so irresistible? Now that you have that in mind, think about every meal. Every meal, meal after meal, you are being fed the same food. The exact same food. No deviations whatsoever. And to be honest, there's really no escape for you because in this little world, you're not allowed to buy the groceries. Somebody else is doing that for you. Someone else is making your nutritional choices for you. So now I want you to open your eyes and, well, first of all, yuck. So what about our pets? I can definitely say that Cookie grows tired of the same meal. We try to add some variety, but if you could call it variety, because we're only just putting water in her kibble. But, to be honest, there's no fooling her because eventually she's just going to throw a little fit. And she's going to wait until she is absolutely voracious before she starts eating. And when I say voracious, it's not really, like how Eisen is when he seems like he's been starved. It's just kind of like oh, I guess I may as well kind of idea. So all of this has me wondering, would some sort of people food work for Cookie? I mean, and also for the others. So, some of them are good, and some are nutritious, and then there are other people food that's not so much. So, I figured today we'll be talking about your cat and your dogs. So, let's talk about dogs and the people food that you can use as, special treats for your little buddies. And, well, I want to start off first by saying most of these foods that I'm going to give you are, for your dogs, are basically in moderation. You don't want to give too much of it to your dog. And this also goes the same for other ingredients that, well, maybe never thought of as being toxic to your dogs or problematic for your dogs. So there might be some that you might just have to give just a little bit, like a small quantity. And, well, let's go ahead and start with meat because, well, people like to season what? Pork, chicken, turkey, and shrimp. Well, also beef, but we're not talking about beef here. But yeah, we like to season our food to make it taste a certain way. Taste better, probably. But for feeding your dog those types of meat, well, you really shouldn't be seasoning them because, well, maybe something in the seasoning is not good for your dog. So you want to make sure of that. You want to make sure that basically boil your chicken, maybe throw the turkey in the oven for a little bit, just to make sure that it's cooked through. Because you don't want to give any raw food to your dog. And this actually goes into to the shrimp part, where you really want to make sure that you cook through and make sure that any potential parasites for your dog is removed. So that kind of bleeds into the type of meat that I didn't really acknowledge at first, and that's beef. So we're going to talk about cows because that's how it works in my mind. So basically, for dairy products, it's going to be, as I said, in small quantities. Like, think milk, cheese, plain yogurt, that kind of stuff for your dog. Again, very small amount. And it's basically as what would you say? It's not altered in any way, basically. So, I've actually given Regina, goat's milk before. And that seemed to really, she seemed to really like it. Cookie wouldn't eat any, but okay. That's Cookie. But we have definitely given cheese to the girls, and they, of course, love it. It's the American cheese, though, so they don't really get the fancier stuff, to be honest. But still, even eating that much dairy, like if you're eating too much dairy, there might be digestive problems for your dog, because there might be a problem with their lactase levels. So giving them too much dairy can actually cause digestive problems, and, well, that might be a sign of lactose intolerance. So you want to make sure that you monitor how your dog is taking the dairy, because it could cause them a lot of suffering for a period of time, and it's just not worth it at some point. So there's that. Now we want to go into the fruits and vegetables, and I want to start off with one of the well-known favorite favorite foods for dogs, actually, and that is the watermelon, because, well, here's the major thing why I'm bringing up watermelon first, because there's this TikTok user that makes TikToks of their dog and gives them a cute little voice. It's a voiceover, and there's just one video where he was just so excited about getting the first watermelon of the year. So it's adorable. I'll say that you should definitely see if you can find it. But yeah, watermelon is actually a really good food for your dogs. It keeps them hydrated because of the high water content. But like, it has a good source of vitamin A, C, and B6. Really good stuff for your dog. You just need to make sure, though, that you remove all those seeds. And also, you don't let them chew on the rind. It's very tempting to let them do that. But that might upset their stomach. And the seeds, by the way, they might actually block the intestines. So you want to definitely remove all the seeds for that. And kind of goes on to apples, too. And they love apples. Reggie loves her apples. So why should we be concerned? Well, I can guarantee you that the seeds from the apple are toxic to dogs. And basically, if you give them the core, they're going to be the core of the apple. They'll definitely be getting at those seeds. So basically, just chop it up into little pieces and give it to your little guy. I've done that with Regina. When we first got her, I was trying to give apples to her so that she could calm down, pretty much, because she was really nervous the first time she came to us. And, well, speaking of, the apples were okay, but what really got her going were the blueberries, and she absolutely loves blueberries. It's actually a really good training treat, too, because, well, they're small, you can carry them around, just make sure you don't sit on something to make it to squash them, because it's going to be very messy. But, yeah, definitely blueberries are a good treat for your dog. And, well, there's also bananas, and we go down a list of all kinds of greens, too. But in the case of the banana, yeah, it's good for them. But, again, if you give them too much, then it'll cause problems with them. Like definitely for the sugars, definitely could cause some intestinal problems. But again, as I've been saying, like, this entire segment, it's always good to do it in moderation. Don't give them too much. I mean, it's like, it's like taking care of your little kid. Well, this is good for you. Yes, you can have some, but you're not going to eat an entire box of, what do kids eat? Yeah, I'll go ahead and just say, yeah, I'm not a mom, so I have no idea. But I have seen, Cheerios. Yeah, that's something that I've noticed. Yeah. It's like giving your kid a ton of Cheerios and then they want more. And you know that if they eat more of it, they're going to get sick. So you want to moderate that. Keep your little buddies and your babies from getting sick because they eat too much of something. Now, I'm kind of, I'm not guilty of this. I'm mostly guilty about it for myself. But, I grew up with an Asian mom. I grew up with a lot of rice in my household. So, white rice is good for your dogs. But again, it's going to be in moderation. Because it does have the starch that builds up that turns into sugar, and then that could lead to diabetes if it's given in large amounts. So you want to be careful with that. But a good way to actually help any upset tummies for your dog that isn't too severe, maybe their stool is pretty loose, you want to make sure that you can get some rice and basically mix chicken broth into it, and that should help their digestion. So that's always pretty cool, right? And I'll go ahead and say Reggie does not seem too interested in honestly peanut butter. And then also, what was it? Let's see. She just had her first bit of popcorn last night, and she wasn't all crazy for it, but she did like it. But she loves her carrots, and she also really likes broccoli stalks for some reason, and it's kind of cute in that way, but man, this girl is going to really have some good eyesight. Actually, no, that's a myth from World War II, I believe. But you can look that up too if you want. But yeah, of course, peanut butter is a good source of protein for them, but you also have to remember the sodium, and then also, I believe I mentioned this, but xylitol, I think was what it was called, that's very toxic to your pets. So definitely make sure that your peanut butter does not have any of that. And man, this is a fine list of things, but something just in case your pet is overweight. My last thing, I promise, it's actually cucumbers, because they're low calorie for dogs, and it's a good option for dogs that are overweight. And they have plenty of vitamins and minerals like vitamin K. So I would definitely say, if you need if you need your dog to lose weight and they're open to eating cucumbers, yeah, go ahead, try it out, and definitely share with us if it's working or not, because I would say that I wouldn't have thought of using cucumbers, but my mom's all about, did you make your cucumber salad? Vinegar and cucumber, please. Make your salads. So it's always in my mind now, because I see cucumber and I think, oh, my mom wants me to eat this stuff. But again, just in moderation, always in moderation. And I just wanted to go ahead and, let's go ahead and on a break. And after the break, we'll talk about food for your cats that are good for them. People food being good for them. So we'll be right back after this commercial break.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco, ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
So we were just talking about dogs and the people food that they can eat, and I figured, well, we should definitely include our cat friends too. And because they are carnivores, they actually have a little more freedom, I would say, but it still needs to be, restricted, in moderation, as per usual. So what about cats? Well, they can definitely eat all kinds of meat, including seafood. And, well, they get a lot of protein from it, and it helps their heart, gives them good vision, and also helps their reproductive system if they are not spay or neutered. So, cooked beef, chicken, turkey, and small amounts of lean deli meats are great. So, just avoid raw and spoiled meat, because that obviously will make your cat sick. So, always think, would I eat this? If you wouldn't eat it, don't give it to your cat. Just straight up, don't give it to your cat. Who would give their cat spoiled meat? My God, that's horrible. But another thing that is also good for your cat is, whole grains. So they could have a lot of protein. Well, oats in particular have a lot of protein in their per calorie, and it's easy to make. So, cats like corn, polenta, ground cornmeal, and it's just kind of like the texture of them. You can also try brown rice, barley, and wheat berries, but those things you'll probably have to squash. But they really like the smaller grains, and just make sure that those grains are cooked and that it's easy for them to digest. Now, also, a really nice thing, if you like to have breadcrumbs all over the place in your house, you could always get the whole wheat kind, and they would definitely enjoy that. So, what else about these pets, about these cats in particular? And I'm just looking at these pictures of these cats looking really cute as they're eating their oats. It's really, really, really nice to see. It's soothing, I'll say. So, I did mention fish before. And, it has a lot of omega-3 fatty acids, and it helps their eyes stay sharp, and it's also helpful with arthritis, kidney disease, and heart disorders. So definitely get the canned or cooked fish. That's good for a treat, but you don't want to give them any raw fish. So don't share your sushi, is what I'm saying. But yeah, I did not know that it helped with keeping their eyes sharp. For some reason, I cannot get those words out. But yeah, I didn't really realize that it helped with all these kinds of things. And normally we give Eisen, like a can of tuna, like on his birthday or something. And sometimes whenever he's, well, maybe even the holidays. Yeah, I think we do that. But we do also, oh my gosh, this makes me think of Egbert again. There's a cute little cat in this picture, and he's on top of eggs, and it just makes me think of how horrible Cadbury eggs just shoved him out, to the side. Egbert should have won, just saying. But eggs, well, I didn't know this, but apparently they're a great source of protein. And again, make sure that you are cooking it through and through. You don't want to hurt your kitty. And also, if they are prone to it, they might like to eat some veggies, but most cats that I know of don't really like it. Typically, Eisen just kind of spits it out. But if you wanted to have like a good source of vitamins, you could always get some veggies, try them out, like fresh cucumber, cantaloupe, steamed broccoli, asparagus, things like that. Actually, the site also recommends that we might have better luck giving the cat a veggie burger. Just make sure that there is no garlic or onions in it, because, well, we'll get to that. Just saying that it's not good for them. So then you also, just like the dogs, you have cheese, and it's a high protein snack. And just like your dog, you want to make sure that it is in small quantities. So it's not as high in protein as the other types of meat, fish, and eggs, but they don't, I'll say that there are a lot of cats that really can't handle dairy products. So Eisen, for instance, well, the reason why we gave Reggie the goat milk was because Eisen was not liking it. He was actually throwing it up. So just the first sight of that, we knew that we needed to change who we were giving it to. Because, well, Reggie loved it. She really did. It was just a shame that I tried to do something nice for our cat, and then it all went to the ether. And now I'm just sad. But yeah, But I have to understand this perspective because, well, again, it's not all about me. It's not all about you. Whatever is good for your cat is good for your cat, but if they don't like it, don't make them eat it. I mean, it's not like you are trying to give this cat medicine. If you are trying to give them medicine, then you'll definitely find other ways to give them the pill or something. But yeah, for Eisen, he, for a period of time, was quite overweight. He used to be 20 pounds or something like that, and now he's down to 12. So, and it's not because of his dieting, unfortunately. It's for his thyroid that is now causing him problems. So, that is what happens when your pets get old. But yeah, he lost a lot of weight, and the major reason why he got so overweight was because, well, we were just giving him so much. Like, whenever we had tuna, we'd give him a little bit of that, and he would just love it. One time we gave him lamb. He was crazy about it. He ate the entire piece that we gave him, and he tried to get more. Also, sometimes he tries to drink soda, and has also tried to steal food from the girls, from Rhodey most definitely when he was alive. But yeah, Eisen is a little devious man. He's a genius for, just poking holes through our attempts to get him to lose weight. But, that's Eisen for you. I'm trying to think of, what other things that we used to feed him. But it was, different types of meat. And, again, this kind of goes back to what is going on with the dogs. You want to make sure that it's actually unseasoned. And I think that a few times we gave him seasoned meat, which kind of made his stomach feel upset, but we were just assuming he had always had tummy issues, which is a bad assumption. Maybe what you're doing right now is causing issues with the stomach, maybe something in the past. You just want to make sure that you are careful and you really focus on what your cat needs. But you know what? I get it. When it comes to giving your pets treats, you want to make sure they have the tastiest little treat, and also that your pet actually likes it. And we kind of just forget, like humans do too, we kind of just forget about proper diet and what is good for us. Like, calories do count, especially when it's leading to unhealthy weight. How many calories we take in is dependent on the person. Same thing with a cat. And for Eisen now, like, he eats a lot of food, but that's because his thyroid is making him have a huge appetite. So if we had another cat, we wouldn't be doing the same thing that we would be doing for Eisen. They'd have to be fed separately. But anyway, gosh, I really wish that there were more things that we knew about getting our pets or getting Eisen more happy food. Because there's no word about any veggies aside from the ones that I see here. And honestly, I kind of want to try the veggie burger trick to see what happens. I'll bring that up to my husband. Maybe he'll be open to that. But anyway, we are approaching another break, and, well, this time around, I wanted to start talking to you guys about foods that could be toxic to your pets. So we'll start talking about that after this commercial break.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And, well, just gonna go ahead and say that one of my favorite sources of information is the ASPCA.org. And, like, it gives you a nice long list of things that, you know, are good for your pets and things that they might need caring for your pets, all kinds of stuff. And this is a good reference for basically poison for your animals. And, I mean, for the most part, I just kind of see things that sound just about right, but then there are others that don't necessarily agree with the medical news that I had read. So, again, this is kind of like based on how you want to approach feeding your pet and giving them treats. Like, if you don't want to take a risk on something that was just listed in this past segment, you know, definitely, you know, go with your gut. What will work best for you, and what, I guess, I don't even know. Like, I don't even want to say try it out because, well, I knew a dog that basically eats everything, actually. And Reggie is kind of in that direction too, where she will see something. Like, I told you about my sock, how she ate it and then threw it up. Yeah, that girl will eat anything. So, it's basically, you have to figure out, okay, how does my pet react to this? And, like, and now I'm just randomly thinking about this. It was this trend that people were doing. They were basically having their dogs, like, kind of test out food. And one of the foods that was, like, given to this dog in one video was a mushroom. And, like, in the back of my head, I'm like, mushrooms are bad, they're toxic, do not give that to your dog. But, you know, the really interesting thing is that this dog did not like the mushroom either way. And a part of me kind of wonders if, well, most animals have a good sense of what is good and what is bad for them. Though Reggie is still figuring that out, I think. But, yeah, the world is new to her. She likes to put stuff in her mouth and to, you know, get a good idea of what it's like. But that causes problems because there are a lot of things that she really shouldn't be eating. And, well, I talked about this for St. Patrick's Day. Alcohol is not ideal for your pets. Don't give them alcohol because what exactly is that accomplishing? For one thing, it's going to cause, like, depression, difficulty breathing, tremors, abnormal blood acidity, and sometimes it could lead to a coma or even death. So why would you want to take that risk with your dog or your pet, your cat? I will say that there is something called cat wine that you could always try out with your cats, and I think that there's something for dogs, and this is only if you want to have, like, drinking times with your pet, I guess. But, you know, another thing, and this is something that a ton of hipsters like, and it's kind of, you know, a millennial thing, but avocados, those are usually a problem with, like, birds, rabbits, donkeys, horses, and, like, kind of like sheep and goats. But it's mostly a concern because of the potential cardiovascular damage in your animal and also death in the bird section. So you want to make sure that avocado should just be put away only for humans. And honestly, I would never share my avocado with a pet because I love it too much, and, well, obviously they hate it. So, and we know also, in addition to this, things that I would not really give to my pets, but also things that I would definitely hoard for myself, and that is chocolate, coffee, and other types of caffeine. I need to have those. And, of course, those are really bad for your dog. You shouldn't, or your cat, and you should be sure to keep that away from them. Let's see. Oh, it says over here, note that darker chocolate is more dangerous than milk chocolate, and white chocolate has the lowest level of oh my gosh, this is $1 million word, methyl satines? I wish I knew how to pronounce that word now. So baking chocolate is like the highest of that. So it sounds like white chocolate is, I guess, the lesser of all the evils, but you really shouldn't be giving your dog chocolate at all. There's also citrus that you need to be careful with. Like apple is an example of a treat that, hey, some people give it to their cat and dog, sometimes they don't. And it's really basically, you need to make sure you're observing your pet when they're having these treats, because you want to make sure that you can intervene as quickly as you can if there's a problem. Now, another thing, and I haven't gotten to this hipster thing, millennial thing at all, but coconut and coconut oil? Okay, I lied. I do have coconut oil, but it's for people food, okay? But yeah, you don't want to have them ingest any large quantity of coconut and coconut oil. Like, small amounts of it won't really cause serious harm to your pet. But, the flesh and the milk of a fresh coconut can, do contain oils that could definitely hurt. And, well, more specifically, cause, like, upset stomach, loose stools, or diarrhea. So, yeah, basically use caution. And, let's see. Ooh, another thing, coconut water, because I know that, my millennial friends definitely know. I know that you have some sort of coconut water, you enjoy it. It is actually high in potassium and should not be given to your pet. So keep that in mind. And another thing, and I recently, well, not even recently learned this before, but I had a friend who had a little Yorkie. Her name was Nefertiti. And Nefertiti actually got into a big container of grapes, and she had to be immediately sent to the hospital, well, the vet, because, well, no, not even but grapes, and then raisins too, because, byproduct of dried grapes. But, okay. Basically, it poisoned her dog, and her dog made it, but that was kind of like new information for me, because I never knew that before. And, well, glad I know now for sure. So, then of course you have the milk and dairy, as we talked about. We have macadamia nuts and, like, other types of nuts that just, the fats in them can cause vomiting and diarrhea, and even possibly pancreatitis. So, definitely keep an eye on that. I try to catch Regina whenever, like, we have dropped nuts on the floor, because she, again, as I said, she'll eat anything, and whatever she wants, she will definitely try to find a way to get it. But most definitely, she's actually repelled by onions, garlic, and chives. So that's great, because it'll definitely prevent her from getting gastrointestinal irritation or, like, red blood cell damage. So again, you don't even want to have it touch their food at all. And of course, as we were talking about in the previous sections, any meat that you have, and also eggs and bones too, make sure that they are cooked through, because raw food for basically everyone is, except for sushi, and we shouldn't be giving that to dogs or cats anyway, but basically raw food could potentially hurt you. So, especially in large amounts. So you want to make sure that whatever you give your pet is always going to be no seasoning and cooked through, because you don't want to harm your pet in that way. And these are also some things that we learned from having Rhodey, and it's basically salty snack foods. So again, that's a lot of sodium going into your pet's body. Limit the sodium amount, because that will cause complications with blood pressure. And, honestly, a lot of the time I think about all the things that I heard my parents talking about when I was younger. I was like, is this going to matter to me? This is when I was much younger. But yeah, even if I'm not having to watch what I eat, there are going to be other creatures in my life that will definitely have to watch it. And let's see. I want to know who would give their pet yeast dough. Just putting it out there. I mean, it can apparently be very painful and will cause, like, the stomach to bloat and, possibly twist and become a life-threatening emergency. So don't do that. It's basically kind of like, alcohol in a sense, where just, it's raw bread. And again, you don't want to give your dog anything that is raw anyway. So that's really, also cats, sorry. Like, this list is a very good list to have. It even has like a poison control center phone number, in case you wanted to, definitely call them in the event that your dog or cat or other animals have ingested something that is probably not good for them. So, oh my gosh, I went on talking a lot. So, we are going to go on another break, and now we are going to talk about, what is it? Aha, homemade dog and cat food. Or, I guess, first, homemade dog food. And then I'll get to talk to you guys about how I actually, made something for Eisen, which he hated. But either way, we will be back after this commercial break.
Is weird, odd, strange, or just plain bizarre is really your cup of tea? Then the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast will give you that fix. Can't believe it? Well, listen for yourself as we deliver the strangest news you definitely won't find on CNN or Fox. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast.
We're back, and we were just talking about the no-nos of food to give to your pets. So, keep that in mind when you actually start going into, like, I want to be creative and make something for my dog or my cat. And here's the great thing, if you want to start trying that, I found a wonderful website that is kind of my saving grace, because I don't know about you guys, but there has been this trend when people include their recipes or give out their recipes online. It's like they're writing a personal essay. And for me, I'm like, okay, this is all nice and stuff. You get to show off your writing. I'm a writing teacher. I can appreciate it. But I just want to get to the freaking recipe. I don't care about what you have to say or, what type of weather was going on the day that you first made this, or what, I guess the right, what was one that I read? The specific amount of time to wash your rice. I've seen that before. It's kind of ridiculous, but yeah, I am so happy that I was able to find some recipes here that would be really good for your pets, and will actually kind of weed out all the bad food for it. But I won't give you all the details for the recipe itself, because you could always go online to find these. But the first one that I wanted to talk to you guys about, what was it? On this website, there's a claim that you can save money with homemade dog food. So, I mean, if you wanted to try that, great. But let's get to it. So one thing that this website has for a recipe is called Fifi's Fishy or Chicky Affair. So, let's see. definitely kind of a type of, kibble. You kind of make your own kibble, and it's basically you mixing these ingredients until they're like a paste, and then you get like a lined baking sheet, and you basically cut up this sheet of paste into like maybe about 80 pieces, yeah. And you're going to put these on parchment paper, and you're going to bake it on a baking sheet for like 45 minutes. And, well, if you wanted to do some replacement of some of the ingredients, like, for instance, they suggest either beef or chicken broth for this, yeah, knock yourself out. But overall, this is supposed to be like yielding 80 pieces of food that is going to be for a mid-sized dog, and it'll feed them for like 5 days at 16 pieces a day. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't know if that's reasonable or not. So I don't know. I always give Reggie like a cup of food morning and night, and she doesn't really have a problem with that. Well, sometimes she is a little hungrier, so she'll steal food from other people. But for the most part, she's pretty happy. And let's see, daily cost that is talking about over here is $2.80. Cost per serving is $1.40. Total cost about $14. So I don't see how that really balances out. Honestly, I'm just going to give my opinion about what exactly I think that this will accomplish overall. So, let's see. I mean, it has good serving sizes, serving portions, and nutritional facts regarding all that. So, energy, like 296 calories. You have reasonable fiber, protein, carbs, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, the only thing that I'm hung up on is that it's 16 pieces a day. I don't even know if Eisen has 16 pieces. He usually has more. But 16 pieces a day, so that's 8 pieces per serving. So feeding them twice. Are these big? I really want to know, like, how big these things are, because I'm just thinking that Reggie would hate doing like 16 pieces a day. I think it would double for her. But then that goes into like, well, we don't know what the calories, well, we do know what the calories are like. So a lot of it is kind of doing your homework and trying to figure out, well, how much does my pet eat? And will they be upset with me if I give them less food? Because Eisen knows when we give him less food. So, there's that coming from there. And then, let's see, there is something called puppy stew. That seems promising. Now, let's see. This yields approximately 32 cups, which feeds a medium-sized dog for 8 days at 4 cups a day. I don't know if you're really saving money on that, actually. So, going back to what I was saying, save money using homemade food. I mean, if you want to put in the effort for that for your pets, awesome. I mean, the total cost of making it is like $18. And just, I don't know. It's basically like a small bowl of, like, different kinds of, what is that? Carrots, sweet potatoes, brown rice, or barley. So, it's very, brown rice, barley heavy. So, and that's kind of the thing that really is brought forward in this picture, at least. So, I mean, 342 calories. I mean, it says for puppies, like puppy stew, so I'm assuming it's for puppies because of the calories, because of the grams of protein. I mean, seems reasonable for them, but hey, I'm not really sure what to think of it. I don't think I'll try it with Reggie, because, I don't know, I said like 2 to 3 hours, and I can't handle that much of an engagement right now when it comes to cooking. But now we can look at something that is a Bow Wow brunch. So on his face, I kind of love it because this website has pictures of mango on it, and I love me some mango. I am a stereotypical Filipino girl. But let's see. There's 1 cup of ripe mashed mango, so that makes me feel a little bit better about their pictures. So you're actually going to combine all of the ingredients in this recipe, like put it into a big bowl and mix thoroughly. You're going to refrigerate it. Do not freeze it. And it also says over here to use caution if your pup has not been exposed to dairy. So don't just give him a giant glop of puppy stew because you don't know what's going to happen. They might have like a serious case of diarrhea, or worse, they might start throwing up and you are going to have to figure out something to do with the emergency vet. So again, make sure that you are being very conscientious about what kind of meals you're giving your dog or cat in this case. So it says here 400 calories, 26 grams of protein. Man, that's a lot of, that's a lot of calories for this kind of thing. But again, this is kind of your choice. What I would actually recommend, and then I'll get to the last recipe. What I would recommend is always go to your vet in the event that you want to try something to give your pet. So, for instance, if you wanted to make this puppy stew, you would probably contact your vet and maybe pass along the recipe to them and see what they have to say about it. And if they give you the thumbs up approval, great. But I would say, when in doubt, ask the vet. And I think I've kind of like made it clear from the very get-go that I pretty much always go to the pet for any concerns or anything that can help my pets in any way while they're not at the vet. So let's get to this next one. It's called Fido's Fricassee. And let's see, it has some kind of ground meat, so beef or turkey, with moderate fat content. So let's see. Ooh, there are papayas in there. So it seems like a good combination of things that will be good for your pets. So there's frozen spinach, which is really good for them. And let's see. Brown rice in moderation, good for them. They have eggs in it, also pretty good. So lightly beaten eggs and 2 hard-boiled eggs mashed. So you have all of that. And it's supposed to yield 6 cups, which feeds a medium-sized dog for about 1.5 days at 4 cups a day. Really? So approximately this would cost you like $9, and daily cost is $6. Gosh, I don't really know what to say about that. But it has 750 calories. That's a lot compared to the others. And I would probably ask my vet about this myself, because it seems really unbalanced. And I mean, it's a plus that there are greens and like different kinds of melons that you can use, like pumpkin. So gosh, I don't know. What I would always recommend is going to your vet and always asking, it's like, hey, do you have some guidance that you can give me when it comes to making homemade pet food? Because I think that would definitely be helpful for your pet's health and also will keep you sane. Because if it's not really worth it to put in that effort several times during the week, I just don't know. I don't think I would do this. But hey, some of you would still want to try it, and I'm totally cool with that. Just make sure you talk to your vet. Always talk to your vet about these kind of changes in diet, or any changes in behavior for your dog or cat. I'm always forgetting that combination. But next, for our next segment, is going to be about a casserole that we all know and love for Thanksgiving for the people that celebrate it. And it is a green bean casserole. For who? Not gonna say. We will be right back after this commercial break.
The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything travel. We explore places you've always wanted to go, as well as giving tips for traveling in those places. We'll give you advice on the best sites for travel tips, information, and discounts. Join us as we travel the world, explore cultures, and meet new people. The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast has got you covered. Download the GSMC Travel Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Alright, so I know for sure that you guys have noticed that I was focusing mostly on our furry friends and not really our scaly friends. So I figured that I could bring up this one recipe that, well, as I said, green bean casserole. That's kind of familiar, right? And overall it is quite familiar, but this is actually going to be for your pet reptiles. So, I mean, if you want, you can try it out for yourself, but just know it is definitely for your pet reptiles. And let's see, they kind of include like turtles, tortoises, iguanas, bearded dragons, that kind of stuff. But yeah, even like the picture for this recipe, like has a bunch of tortoises around this big stone dish, and it's just full of beans and let's see, what else? It looks like there's a lot of kibble for them too in there. So, I think it's just used for making sure to balance out that diet for them. So let's kind of talk about what this thing has, and it's actually pretty simple. So you have green beans, sweet potatoes, mushrooms, cranberries, bell peppers, and the reptile pellets, your choice, depending on what pet you have. And you can also, tasty, a can of insects if you want to include that. And why not? Just go above and beyond for your pet reptiles. That'd be awesome. So essentially what you're going to be doing is like chopping the produce into like a good size for your pet. So don't make it too big, don't make it too big, or else they might choke. So then after that, you're going to really moisten the pellet food, and you're going to put it in with the green beans, mushrooms, and sweet potatoes, and also the insects if you want, or if your pet is actually an omnivore. So then, you top it with the cranberries, and, oh my gosh, this was not mentioned here, but something called Reptivite and Repticalcium. So again, I think it's like trying to really make sure that the food is balanced for them. Because, well, that's the problem with a lot of recipes. Like they try to be as natural as possible, and sometimes the food isn't as balanced as it should be, or somebody didn't do any research, and maybe somebody didn't even go to their vet to get some advice on it. But yeah, just just the presence of, like, the pellets and their calcium and the Reptivite, it just seems like you have to be cautious. Like, if I remember correctly, there is, at least for the crested gecko, like, they could possibly have metabolic bone disease, and that's because they might not be getting enough calcium. So you want to make sure that you know what your pet needs. Not just, oh, they need food. More like, what do I need to get to make sure my pet food that I'm making for them is actually good for them? And I guess, we could talk about the metabolic bone disease a little bit more. Or we could talk about smoothies for your crested gecko. So they have smoothies in, like, quotation marks. So you already know that it's not going to be like a human smoothie. But, that's like, that could just kind of fit into this episode for you all. Things that humans cannot eat, but your pets can. But, yeah, so you are going to be basically having, you're going to need a blender for this. That's for sure, because smoothies. Now, you are going to have, like, dried figs, papaya, a mango, a pear, banana, canned peaches with no syrup in it, and a half cup of plain natural yogurt. So no sugars, no artificial sugars, sweetener, sorry. And you're just going to put it into the blender and it'll go, and then voila, your reptile has a smoothie. And I think that's kind of interesting. I wonder what other things, like, we know about dog cakes, we know about, those really cool decorated cookies that you can also get for your pets, and I'm just like, man, I want to make Reggie a smoothie now. But, I mean, it's one of the things that definitely sticks out to me in this, on this website. Let's see. Oh, it says something about baby food, and excuse me while I kind of lean away from the microphone because I'm blind. Let's see. Okay, so basically feeding them baby food. So you're definitely going to have to supplement the nutrition going into this, because baby food does not take care of everything for your, I guess, your geckos. So you want to make sure that if you do feed them baby food, be familiar with what else they might need. Because, again, there are consequences to not properly feeding your pet. And I think that's why a lot of people just, aside from the convenience, that's why people rely on pet food. Just processed pet food, because, well, we are assuming and hoping that everything is balanced in the actual kibble or wet food, whatever you give to your pet. But yeah, do you want to risk getting your gecko getting, like, the metabolic bone disease because there's not enough calcium in it? So all of these things you have to really think about, and you have to be very intentional about it. But just, it is definitely a venture if you're deciding to go and make pet food for yourself. Like, we did it one time for Eisen. He had little kibbles with, I think, some fruit in it that was good for him. But he hated it, and they went bad. So, there's that. So, maybe even if you give your pet homemade food, it doesn't mean they're going to actually eat it. So, you shouldn't be offended if your dog, cat, reptile refuse to eat what you make them. Sure, that makes them kind of like babies and they might throw a fit, but the difference between these animals and a baby is that a baby can get used to it. Animals can just eventually, well, cats in particular, just choose to not eat, and they'll find food elsewhere. For instance, if your basement has mice in it, hey, that's free food, basically, for your cats. But I would have to say that I would not want that to happen because, well, you don't know what has been in the rat, to be honest. And just, Eisen seems much happier and more connected with us when we actually give him food. So, he's not a farm cat, or a barn cat. Is that what Yeah, a barn cat, because, well, while he would do a great job, he would probably, rely more on the humans to feed him. But, gosh, I have to say that just looking at the description of signs of this disease, metabolic bone disease, like, apparently these reptiles are supposed to get, like, swollen limbs, so they call it, like, Popeye arms. They have a swollen jaw, weak jaw that hangs open, underbite, overbite, a humped back, irregular spine, kinked tail, shaking, trembling, twitching of other extremities, organ failure, and an inability to eat. So, keep those in mind while you are actually trying to create food for your pets. Again, I'm always going to rag on you about this. Just ask your vet for their advice. They are trained medical professionals. They are there so that your pets will be okay. So, with that being said, we're going to close the book on human food for pets, and we are going to talk about one of my husband's favorite things in the world, and that is pets in clothing. So we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's gsmcpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back, and let's see, we were just talking about food for your pets, homemade food or some strange store-bought food that claims to be all natural or something like that. I've seen those. I don't know what to think of those. But let's just kind of relax and talk about something that, well, you either approve of or you don't approve of. Now, my husband loves this so much, and it's basically just seeing pets in clothing. So, I just wanted to kind of start off with a little story of Rhodey and how my husband would just put on his button-up t-shirts on Rhodey. And it was just, I don't know what it was with him. He just was laughing all the time. He loved it. He said that and this is all just a joke, but he has said that he liked our dog more because he was dressed up. He absolutely loved that dog. But just kind of, Rhodey seemed a lot more approachable with a blue plaid shirt, apparently. So, I mean, I would definitely say that some people absolutely hate the idea of dressing up their pets, but once you actually have one that looks like it can wear stuff, then you're just kind of like, oh man, this is going to be the best. So, a long time ago, I think I've mentioned this before, I tried to get a bow tie for Eisen, but he ripped that up. So he's definitely not a pet that wants to be dressed. Like, and I'm always going to go back to this. Just, it's not all about you. If your pet does not want to wear clothes, don't make them wear clothes. Now, there is a great thing about some dogs, and this kind of goes along with Cookie. She loves being pretty. But back to another story. Of course, I was bored in the house, in the house board, and I was Amazon window shopping, and then I saw the most adorable little dress for Cookie. It's just as a gray top and like a bow on the back, and it has like a fake pearl in the middle of the bow, and the skirt is like a fairly little pink. And the second I put it on her, she was like bouncing and just kind of jumping at me, and she just looked so happy. She looked excited. Very lively for a 14-year-old dog, to be honest. But yeah, some dogs love to feel pretty. And like Reggie, sometimes she likes being pretty, but she's such a hardcore dog that I don't even know. Like, I had even gotten her 2 t-shirts from this one place, and apparently these sizes run small. So they look like, you know, those stretch shirts that some guys have whenever they go to the gym or something like that? Like, it basically looked like that. Except, like, you know, it was pink and had pineapples on it and cats and stuff. It was definitely a sight to see, and I'm so sad that, you know, again, it's not about me, but man, I was so sad that Reggie just was too big for them. I think that it would have been a really nice thing to see, to be honest. I mean, I managed to get one on her, but then I realized pretty fast that this was not going to work. So hopefully I have a future purchase with a shirt that actually fits Reggie. But like, the appeal of it was that, well, man, I could just make this entire purchase and have her ready for summertime. That would be great, right? I know. But I'm also thinking about other people that, again, I'm going to mention this TikTok user who basically dresses up their dog. It's the same dog dressed up, has bow ties, has ties, and let's see, costumes, Halloween costumes. It's really cute. And there's actually one TikTok of them doing a voiceover for him where he was concerned about going to Dairy Queen and how underdressed he was. So he wanted to basically have a tie or a bow tie so that he wasn't underdressed, you know, when he met the Dairy Queen. And I imagine that for some people that would be like a little annoying, but I mean, that dog looked really good in a bow tie. Just saying. But yeah, there are like a lot of stuff that you can get for your pet friend or your pet baby. Like, just go onto Amazon and just kind of check out what they have. A lot of it's going to be like the standard jacket for your dog. But when you get to smaller sizes of dogs, you'll also be able to find the pretty frilly stuff. So I need to find a website for Reggie that will give me a great idea of what I can get her and be reasonably priced. And then we'd have 2 girls in our house that are, you know, nice and pretty. I will say, and this is back to Rhodey, I think I haven't really talked about his Thunder shirt. Like, he loved it. He looked great in it, too. It was very slimming. No, he was a very thin dog. He did not need any more slimming down. But, yeah, he loved it. It was comforting for him, and he didn't really want to take it off. But now this gets me into shoes, or I guess booties for your dogs. Because, well, we had a pair of booties for Rhodey because our first year of having him, it became extremely cold during the winter. Like, ice is horrible. And his feet would get so cold and he wouldn't be able to, you know, really walk back home. So there also ways that you can help your dog in that case, aside from getting little booties, because, well, to be honest, putting on those little things on his paw, oh my gosh, it was ridiculously stressful, and this dog always got stressed out. So somehow I managed to get all 4 of those little booties on his feet, and he started walking around like he hated the world, pretty much. You've seen videos of dogs just kind of, walking funny because they have those boots on. Like, it's essentially that, and it was wonderful to watch. But after his first time, like, he took them off and he hid one. So unless he became a 3-legged dog, I don't know. But I think Regina would absolutely hate. Actually, I did try to put on some sort of booty. It was a plastic purple one, and it was mostly for like bad weather. And for the purposes of us, we were given those little booties, and Reggie hurt herself with her claw, and then we tried to like keep her from getting at the claw until we got her to the vet. But yeah, it was a pain to get on, as I thought, and she ripped it apart because, you know what, she hated it. She's a free girl. She's a free-spirited girl, and she does not want to be walking around in the grass with shoes on. She wants to feel the grass in between her little toes. But like Cookie, Cookie is easy. Just make sure she stays still enough. You don't need 2 people to put on this outfit. And, well, chances are she's not growing anymore. Reggie, I hope she's not going to grow more. That would be intense. And, again, I'm sorry, Eisen. I really wish you would dress up with us sometimes. But, again, it's not all about me. Not all about you. So, just, all of this kind of goes into, even the food, too. All of this goes into what best serves your pet. Sure, the dress on Cookie is definitely a thing that we want to see on her, and she's fine with it. She loves it. But when it comes to Reggie, no, not so much. And for Eisen, oh my god, he hates it. But all these things, you have to really consider what is best for them, and just kind of do the best that you can with them while you have them. Now, I will say that Eisen does make a really good superhero because he has a nice red blanket that he likes to rest upon, and sometimes it looks like he has a cape. So he is a superhero, and that's just kind of going to be the end of it, right? But Eisen, do you hear me about this? He is indifferent. But I just gotta say now that I really appreciate you guys listening, and I wanted to thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Pets Podcast, and it was brought to you today by the GSMC Podcast Network. And, well, we would love it if you subscribed and reviewed our show, and also, because I like posting pictures of my pets, just check out our Instagram, check out our Twitter, also our Facebook page. You will be able to get, a lot of content, pet content. So, basically, I just want you guys, it's clearing up over here because it was storming pretty bad, but it's a wonderful night, still, and I really want you guys to enjoy yourself, and thank you.
You've been listening to the GSMC Pets Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all of the shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, from business news to weird news. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's podcast.